Hello, everyone, and welcome to today to Tea with Mrs. G. I am so incredibly excited to be joined by three of our young and wonderful authors from our upcoming book, Channel Kindness. And for those of you that haven't seen it, this is what it looks like. In the banner, you can find out where to pre-order it. And I am joined by these wonderful young authors. We have Emma Carroll, Sanah Giovanni, and Josh Greenblatt, who will be introducing themselves in just a moment. But we're going to have the opportunity to really hear about their experiences, about the wonderful inspiration that went into these powerful words and these stories, and also the importance of storytelling and sharing kindness. And for those of you that are turning in and tuning in, I really hope that you're able to also be inspired to share your own story. And it doesn't have to be done in a public forum like this. It can be done privately to somebody that you trust. You can write it in a journal, but there's tremendous healing power to sharing your story. And it also helps others heal because it validates their emotions. So I'd like to begin with introducing our authors. Emma, let's start with you.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. So my name is Emma Carroll. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I am a program intern here at the foundation, and I also am a writer just as a hobby. And now I can say that I got to contribute to this amazing book and this amazing project. So I'm super happy and super excited to be here and super excited to get to know the rest of you.
Well, we're excited to have you. Sanah.
Hi, yeah, my name is Sanah Giovanni. I am currently a student at the University of Pennsylvania in grad school, so it's been a little crazy studying education, culture, and society and nonprofit leadership. I'm extremely excited to be here. Writing is also one of my loves, along with storytelling and just that healing power of storytelling. So I think this is going to be a wonderful conversation, and I'm so excited to just be a part of it.
We're really happy to do it. Josh.
Hi, yes,
Hi.
I'm Josh Greenblatt. My pronouns are they, them, and theirs. Yeah, I'm one of the authors in the book. I'm also an alum of the Channel Kindness Reporter program as well. And I'm an actor, I'm a singer, creative person here in New York City. And I'm so grateful to be a part of this conversation as well. So thank you, Mama Germ.
Thank you. Haven't heard that in a while, so that's nice. Well, let's begin. My first question is actually to each of you. And how has storytelling and the act of sharing your story impacted you as individuals and impacted your mental health? Let's start with Sanah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think storytelling to me has been such a beautiful journey. And it's definitely had a very significant positive impact on my mental health. To be honest, I think when I first started storytelling, I felt a lot of pressure. I remember telling my story at first, going without my wig, and kind of all of a sudden having all of these people look up to me and tell me, like, you inspired me to do this. And at first I felt a lot of pressure. I thought, okay, like I just told my story and now I have these people looking up to me, and it just made me feel like I had to be perfect. But the more that I talk to my students that I work with, and the more that I realized that those students don't look up to all the moments that I'm perfect. They looked up to the moments in my story where I was struggling. They looked up to my bad days. They looked up to my good days. They looked up to all of me and the whole package and my whole story. And I think after that, I found storytelling really liberating, right? Like people don't just love your happy ending. They love your beginning, your middle, your end, your lows and your highs. And I just realized there's such power and such freedom in realizing that every single part of your story is so beautiful. And sometimes the parts that you find and you think are broken about yourself, those are actually the parts that let out the most light. So you really, really can inspire a lot of people. And it's really helped me accept myself and all of my story, like I said, the good and the bad, just knowing that every single component of it can help others.
That's really wonderful. And I love that, you know, people around you accepted you for your strength and for your courage to share your story. So thank you for being so open. Emma, how has storytelling impacted you and also your mental health?
Yeah, actually, it's funny because my answer is similar to what you just said, where for a little bit of background, I was born with some pretty severe physical disabilities, and went through a lot from a really young age, was in and out of the hospital most of my life. And so I really, like you, felt a lot of pressure to sort of like be this perfect person. And when I was in high school, I kind of had really severe mental health issues where I started to question, like, basically, what am I on earth for? Like, what am I meant to do? I don't want to just be like this hollow, inspiring person. Like, I want to actually have impact and actually be able to help people and do something that's real and tangible. And I found that through telling my story and through the power of human connection. And it's been really, really critical to both my healing with my mental health, as well as, like I said, just real tangible impact. And I am just so grateful to be able to share that with everybody that I can.
Well, Emma, you're an inspiration every day to all of us. So thank you for being here with us. And Josh, to you, the impact of storytelling, not only on you as an individual, but on your mental health.
Yeah, well, I definitely relate to both of your amazing answers insofar as that the act of storytelling can, reveal the process of your progress, right? Like, for instance, a project that I was working on, which I entitled They, which of course is a reference to my pronouns, they, them, and theirs. I was creating it while I still had questions about my gender identity. And through making that story, first of all, and then sharing that story subsequently, I was able to answer a lot of those questions for myself. And then, of course, answer them for anybody else who would pose them to me. And so that was amazing. And also, I've found that because I've been starting to make some of my own original music, and I've found that some of the songs are kind of highlighting places within my mental health landscape where my wires get a little bit crossed. And again, through making that story, i.e. a song or whatever form your story is going to take, by making it, it's kind of holding me to a promise to myself to kind of work on that place where it's a little bit unhealed. So I think that it always is helping. It's completely interconnected to my individual growth and my mental health growth. And I even think it goes into the story that I put in the Channel Kindness book, because that was about, it came about because I've experienced, moments of discrimination and stuff, especially here in New York. I've had situations where I felt very unsafe. And the training that I took when I was putting together the information for the story was about how I can help other people who are in similar situations where their safety is being threatened. And so that was a huge moment of growth for me individually, because it gave me tangible skills to help myself and also be able to help other people, which, as you both are saying, is the ultimate goal, always, for sure.
That's amazing. Look, I'm very sorry for what you went through, but it sounds like you're finding healing in music, and I also think that what you're writing about it's gonna educate people, and that's very, very important for people to understand, what you and anyone in the same position is going through. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So my next question is also to you, Josh, and also to Sanah. What initially inspired you both to become storytellers, and what currently drives your work? So I'll ping back to you, Sanah.
Yeah, I think what inspired me to tell my story, just a little bit of background. I really, really struggled personally. I remember being 12 years old in the 7th grade and losing all of my hair to a condition called alopecia. And I remember I realized that morning that I looked in the mirror and just all my self-esteem was gone. Like, I looked in the mirror and I no longer loved myself. And that was a really, really difficult realization. And, I started struggling with my mental health and bullying. And thankfully, I got through the experience and I found the courage to go without my wig. And I remember the moment that brought me to storytelling. I kind of was going to go without my wig just initially for myself. I just wanted to feel beautiful again. I just wanted to realize that I was beautiful exactly the way I am. And so I get on Facebook, kind of, sitting in front of my camera, very in a similar position to this right now. And I'm just sitting there and I say, this is me and I'm proud of who I am. And I just pull off my wig. And I did that for me. And I felt so beautiful and so strong in that moment. But those comments that I got and the shares and what people told me after I did that changed my life. People told me, because you had the courage to be who you are, I feel the same. Or because you went without your wig, I want to, also feel free and leave this abusive relationship. Or I also want to go without my wig, or I want to go without makeup, or I want to open up about my mental illness. And I just had this beautiful realization that when you have the courage to be who you are, you unknowingly inspire other people to do the same. And that just resonated with me so much. And I just thought, I am going to exemplify storytelling every day by just being who I am and choosing to be who I am. And that's kind of what brought me to it. And just, it made me realize that I want to hopefully keep doing this so that I can inspire other people to be themselves too. Because I know being yourself is such a gift. And I know what it's like to live without that and to live with that. And I want to live in a world where everybody can be themselves and can live with that.
Well, I mean, that really highlights the power of storytelling. I mean, firstly, you are beautiful. Not everybody can find and tap into the courage that you found to tell your story. So I really believe that you're going to inspire a lot of people. You saw it when you took that wig off and shared it with your friends, that they were opening up about other things. So it's really, really incredible. So Josh, let's hear from you. What inspired you to start telling your story, and what currently is driving your work?
Yeah, well, basically I've been an actor, performer, storyteller since I was probably 5 years old. And initially that impulse was because a lot of other people in my family who were older than me were doing that. So I kind of like fell into it, I guess you would say. But I'm so grateful that that was the case for me, because that outlet, that passion has really seen me through all the ups and downs of my whole life. And, here I am now, I'm 26 and I've done so many different things artistically. But I think what's really exciting about my creative career now is that slowly but surely the projects are aligning with what I want to accomplish as a person in this world in the first place, which are things like, raising awareness around LGBTQ plus issues, mental health awareness, social justice. So what's really driving me is seeking out projects, be it plays, be it films, things that I can be a part of, that are directly addressing these things that we're all organizing and advocating for in real life. So for instance, some projects I've been a part of recently, one was focused on a story about women in positions of power and the obstacles that they ultimately overcome in those type of situations. So I thought that was an amazing story to be a part of. I've just been workshopping a play which is about the erasure of queer history, specifically in New York City, but just in general as well. I'm in pre-production for a film that's being helmed by writers and directors that are both queer and Black, which, those stories need to be elevated. So that's what's really driving me is this idea that what we're creating, the stories that we're telling, can also be a means to an end for what we're doing in our activism. So that's what is really exciting to me in this moment, and will probably always be what my goals are when it comes to being creative.
I mean, that's great. So you're aligning yourself with projects that you really believe in, like as far as your own values and humanity, social justice. That can help all of us. So thank you.
Yeah.
So Emma, I have a question for you. Your story in the Channel Kindness book, you talk about pain in a very, very personal way, both physically and also emotionally. How did you find the courage to do that?
This is going to be kind of a long answer, so bear with me. But for a really long time, when I remember when I was little, I remember just feeling like very, very deep pain, but feeling like I couldn't share the deepest and darkest parts of myself, that I was somehow failing or being less of a person or being weak if I admitted, like, this is deeply painful, right? And so instead of doing that, I when I got older, I kind of did everything I could to run away from that pain, because I thought, that was the answer, right? That would somehow fix all of these things. And I talk about this in the book, but the thing that helped me sort of make peace with myself and who I am as a person actually happened, I think, if I remember correctly, like 6 or 7 years ago, when I met your daughter. I call her Stephanie, but everyone knows her as Lady Gaga, on the Born This Way Ball tour. And we had a really deep connection over our pain. And it turned out that was actually the thing that she needed right in that moment. And that it had an impact on her life, because I was able to share that with her in a very real and personal way. So I guess I would say that the opportunities that I have since had brought forth came from sharing my pain and not running away from it. And so I hugely believe that when we dig deep in ourselves, we're able to give to other people. And that's the best gift that you can give, not only to let yourself heal, but to heal others as well.
But somehow some way you realized that sharing your pain might help somebody else.
For sure. Yeah. And I just never regret it. And I'm always willing to share for anyone who's willing to listen. So
that's great. It's so selfless, and you have already helped people. I know that you helped my daughter, and I know that this story is going to help so many people, as are, all the stories that are surrounding it. So thank you. I wanted to talk a little bit about how stories can put each of us in a position of vulnerability. Just when I started Tea with Mrs. G, I had to become more vulnerable myself, which it's not something that's easy for me. But I just thought it was important for me to share what I was also going through, and maybe try to give others some affirmation and some inspiration. But it can be very scary for most people to be vulnerable. And we heard that, Emma, both from you and also from you, Sanah, the stories that, personal experiences that you've gone through. Even though vulnerability is hard, it's also a very powerful thing in storytelling, because it creates this human connection, unlike anything else. So to each of you, what is one tip that you would give someone who wants to share their story, but maybe feeling afraid to do so? And Josh, let's start with you this time.
Sure. I think something that has been helping me, especially lately, is letting somebody or a group of people, but it literally can be even just one person, letting someone into your process. So what I mean by that is, let's say I have an idea for a song. If there's even just one person, like my best friend, that I can say, I had an idea for this song, then it becomes a shared experience. And one little fraction of that big layer of fear has been peeled back. So then, then I get the melody, then I get some lyrics, and I tell 2 other friends that this is what it's about, and this is what the first verse is. You know what I mean? And it's it becomes not just yours then, and it becomes so much more about the story itself, or about the project itself, or the song itself. And it kind of takes on its own momentum. And even though, your own fear might rear its head at so many different points in that process, it's there's these people on your team now, and there's multiple people invested in this story coming to life and this project, being fully realized. And, I think that is so helpful when it comes to that fear around vulnerability, because it's too much to just take on just by yourself. And so you don't have to wait until your story is done. You don't have to wait until everything has come together. You can find literally just one person to tell, even towards the beginning, to be I'm trying to muster up the courage to write this story about this thing that happened to me. And they can be I think that's a really good idea. And then that gives you just a little bit of a spark to say, okay, today I'm going to sit down, I'm going to start it. And then you just keep going along in the process, and you realize that you've peeled away those layers of fear, over time, not just in one big fell swoop. You can do it piece by piece, and that there are people who are going to be willing to help you to peel back those pieces.
That's such great advice. And, I think we quite often do things in isolation. We just struggle through things alone and don't realize that help is just a moment away. So I think that's great advice to encourage people to reach out early on in a process. Sanah, what advice would you, or a tip would you give to somebody who really wants to share their story, but they feel afraid?
Yeah, that was awesome, Joss. I think I definitely agree about starting small. Just to relate to that, one quick example is that, like, I know when I was first going without my wig, that video reveal I shared, yes, that was like the big moment, but I want to emphasize that it started with me taking off my wig in front of one friend, and then two friends, right? So it definitely is a process. And along that lines, I just want to share my tip, which I think would be to just start. And I know that that sounds so abstract, so I'm going to explain. I think we hear these words like bravery and courage, right? And they sound so big and daunting. But I think courage really is about those moments that you're so afraid and your voice is shaking, and maybe you're literally shaking, but you speak anyway, right? So don't feel like you have to be super polished or perfect or have it all together. I don't think anyone is. I still do not. Even though I've told my story so many times, done assemblies with thousands of kids, I definitely do not feel polished or perfect by any means. Sometimes I wake up and I feel really confident and I feel like a superstar on that stage. And I feel like, I got this assembly and I'm going to be great. But sometimes I wake up and I feel like I'm back in the 7th grade to that morning when I just lost all my hair. And like I said, there's good days and there's bad, there's ups and downs. And just know that you're most courageous those mornings that maybe you feel like you're back in the 7th grade, but you go up to speak anyway, even though your voice is shaking. So know that it's okay to be scared. Know that it's okay to be nervous. That's what makes you brave and courageous. Those words are about all of you.
But Sanah, there's also something else about your story. You must have gone through a process of self-acceptance and self-love to be able to do what you did. What was that process like for you?
Absolutely. During my story, I went through a lot of bullying. And one lesson I learned from that is that people were saying mean things to me, but the things that I was saying to myself were so much worse. And I realized that I had to start being kinder to myself. So, as silly as it felt, for every mean thing that was said to me and for every mean thing that I said about myself, I tried to refute it with 10 nice things, 10 kind things about myself. I think, it's great and very important, obviously, to give kindness to the world, but I think that does start with kindness to yourself, right? And I think when you're kind to yourself and you're very intentional about being kind to yourself, you say those 10 nice things a day, you take time to check in with your mental health, you ask for help, then spreading kindness to others will just come a lot more naturally.
That's a great inspiration. Thank you. Emma, one tip that you might have for somebody that wants to share their story but feels so afraid?
Yeah, so I know it might seem really daunting, and it is oftentimes. I found that the best and strongest connections are made when we're most afraid to share ourselves with people. And just the idea that you have no idea what the other person who you're talking to is going through, or what they're hearing, or what they might get from even just a little tiny piece of what you're sharing with them, and how it might have a huge impact that you don't even realize. So like everybody else said, just starting small, even when you're most afraid, and just using into that discomfort can create just a massive ripple effect that can impact your life, the other person's life, without you even knowing it.
Yeah, it also sounds like a big factor for you was trying to not let fear get in your way. I mean, I think that can paralyze all of us. It's such a powerful, natural human response, and you have to, I guess, do your best to try to fight through that. Sanah, I wanted to come back to you for a second because you talked about putting kindness out in the world. We're getting some great questions, coming in. Do you think there will ever be kindness all around the world?
I think so. I really do believe in the good of people. I think even when people do unkind things, it's often because what I just mentioned, it's very, very hard to be kind to others when you're struggling so much internally and when you're struggling so much with being unkind to yourself. And so I think that there's a lot that needs to happen before we see kindness all over the world. I think we need to start having conversations about mental health. I think we need to start having conversations about self-love. I think those conversations will lead to a kinder and braver world. And I do see a world that people feel that they are free to be themselves. They feel that they're free to go outside and express themselves. And they feel this such a deep self-kindness that, again, being kind to others just comes naturally. Like, I feel like it almost, like, your cup feels so full that it almost just overflows. Yeah. It's just so natural. And I can see that.
Yeah, but to your point, if you don't love yourself and you can't be kind to yourself, it's so hard to see the goodness, you know, in others. We actually have a campaign that we're launching in early September called Be Kind 21, where it's a bit of a challenge, I guess, to everyone to embed kindness in your life for 21 days. So to perform an act of kindness for 21 days in a row, hoping that it becomes I don't really like to say a habit, but that you're more mindful of kindness and spreading it, you know, in your everyday life. So I have another exciting question that's been coming in. What does it feel like to each of you to be a published author? And maybe some of you have been before. For me, I know I'm like, you know, a kid opening gifts. But Josh, what does it feel like to you to be a published author?
This actually means the world to me, to be honest, because having gone through the Channel Kindness program and to be given the opportunities to share our stories like we are here, it's really empowered me to use my own voice. Like I explained to you guys before, you know, I'm an actor and I'm so used to jumping into other people's visions, and something that was so encouraged during my time with Channel Kindness and everything we've done together since then is mining my own experiences. And as we're talking about today, seeing the value in sharing those experiences with other people, how powerful that can be for yourself and for the rest of the world. And so it made me realize during our time together that I'm a good writer and that I have things to say and that I have experiences that I need to share and that are worthwhile for other people to hear. And as I've also explained today, it's led me to lots of other self-created projects that I've been able to create. And I wasn't doing that before. I was always in other people's pieces. I was always executing other people's visions. And I really do believe that my time with Channel Kindness, with, you know, other people that are being featured in this book that you're going to read, enabled me to really find my voice. And so to be able to say that that voice is being published and being amplified and elevated and sent throughout the world with this book genuinely means the world, and it makes me feel so inspired. That's and great. Excited to keep sharing what I have to say.
Amazing. So I mean, it sounds like you're carrying a different kind of confidence with you, which is
I am, yeah.
It was really great. So Emma, what does it feel like to be a published author?
It's honestly surreal. That was kind of one of my dreams all the way back into childhood, but I kind of threw that to the side in favor of a more realistic career. So to be blunt, like when I found out that, you know, the book was being published, I kind of had a sort of pinch me moment, not just because this is like a childhood dream of mine, for lack of a better word, but I could never imagine telling it, or I could never imagine telling any other story other than the one that I told, and it's really an honor and a privilege to get to do it with all of you, and I'm just thankful.
We're thankful to have you. We're thankful to have all of you, and we have so many other authors also that are contributors. We're very excited for everyone to read the book. Sanah, to you, what does it feel like to be a published author?
Yeah, I think I go back to, the time when I was in a lot of pain, when I was in the 7th grade, um, just lost all my hair. And I just think about back then how much I was struggling with my mental health. And I remember I just felt so hopeless. Like some of the feelings that y'all described, just feeling like, there's just no point to all of this. Like I don't understand the point. I don't understand, why I'm going through what I'm going through. And to be a published author, I think I just wish I could go back and like hold my 7th grade self's hand and say like, "Hey, I promise, just keep fighting, just keep going on. Please don't give up because there is a reason for the things that you're going through and one day you're going to be able to stand up and share your story with so much courage." Um and I guess it's just all a symbol of hope to me, right? Like I think this book is a symbol of hope. It's the idea that sometimes when you're in these lows and you don't know what the purpose is, to just keep fighting anyway, because hope does exist. There's um, great healing in telling your story, and that healing will come. And I think this gives me a lot of hope and reminds me of that.
Well, that's great. That's a wonderful attitude to have also. I think a lot of people, particularly young people, get discouraged because their purpose isn't always clear to them, in the beginning. But it's a bit of a journey, there's a lot of trials and tribulations in life. And I think, through building resilience and perseverance, our purpose becomes, much clearer. Well, I could talk to all of you, all evening for sure. We're going to have to wrap up. I want to thank you all for your incredibly invaluable work and very impactful stories. I want to leave everyone who's watching with a couple of important links. I mentioned Be Kind 21 earlier. For those of you that want to check it out, you could go to bornthisway.foundation/BeKind21. And also for the Channel Kindness book to pre-order, there we go. It's actually in the banner, but you could go to channelkindness.org/book. Thank you all so much for joining today. Remember to be kind and stay brave. And we look forward to talking with all of you soon.